systems fail and the sky falls with them, voices will rise from the static. This is the Network Failure Podcast.
What is going on, people? Welcome to the Network Failure Podcast, episode 83. I'm your host, Mr. Meoff. It is Wednesday, July 1st, and it is a scorcher out there. I hope everybody's cool and well. I hope everybody's safe inside in a nice air conditioning because it is, it's hot out there, man. I spent the whole day outside perpetually sweating humans, and it is not looking forward to tomorrow. But we've got to move on, right? We've got a packed out show. What do we got going on? We've got the Kids Act passing, so say goodbye to freedom of anonymity on the internet. You will now have to register your identification. We are back to war with Iran. Yep, that didn't last long, right? I think I mentioned that wouldn't last. Got some Hiroshima-grade munitions going off over in Lebanon, so they're not gonna let things go quietly. We're letting a Mossad spy go. He got caught stealing some of our secrets, and we're going to let them go because that's what we do. We treat our allies like kings. We've got Operation Warp Speed 2.0 will be in full effect, and it's going to be led by RFK Jr. That's right. You heard me correct. Canadians are teaching their kids how to do drugs? Yeah. And we've got more Tweaker Safari. I liked what we had last week, so we got a little more on Tweaker Safari. Norway won't be eating our food at the World Cup. Nope, they're refusing to eat our food. And Rand Paul will be going after Fauci, I presume. I'm not sure. We'll wrap it up with MK Ultra being exposed in Congress like there's any proof. All that and more on this episode of the Network Failure Podcast. But before we get started, as usual, I got to thank the Lord that I'm here to speak to you today, because without the Lord, I would not be alive and breathing. I want to thank you guys for listening, and let's get started. All right? Thank you for all the support. Pay no attention to the YouTube numbers either, all right? Those are fake, false. We've got millions of listeners, millions of viewers. Don't pay any attention. Just keep liking, subscribing, and sharing. Do your part, I'll do mine. Okay, let's check this out. We have got a real-life Batman going on. Real-life Batman over in Mexico. Mexican authorities confirm search for a vigilante nicknamed Batman who has been hunting down suspected motorbike thieves, tying them to lampposts, beating them, and drawing on their faces. From Real News, No Bullshit. Police in Mexican town of Lagos de Morena are hunting for a vigilante named Batman who has been tracking down suspected motorbike thieves and duct taping them to lampposts around town with the bike that they were attempting to take. According to authorities, 5 men were tied up to street poles around the Jalisco municipality over a 10-day stretch starting on June 13th. Many of them were gagged with tape and had their faces marked up with drawn-on mustaches, what appears to be a dick, cat whiskers, and the Spanish word ratero, which is thief, for those not in the know. So that's fun, right? We've got a Mexican Batman. That's pretty cool. I like it. I hope you guys like it. I figured you'd want to know that the Mexican streets are now safe from motorbike thieves. All right, let's get into it. The Kids Act passed. 267 to 117 from Jessica Rojas over on Twix. The House just rammed through the Kids Act, HR 7757, with 47 not voting. Many of us have been warning about these ID verification laws disguised as for the children. This is how you eventually get people to comply with biometric facial scans, which eventually leads to us needing a scan every time we want to access the internet. They've been telling us their plans for a while, but so many brush it off that it'll never happen in America. Well, it just did. over 90 child advocacy groups begged Congress to vote no. Why? This House version strips out key protection for eating disorders, depression, addiction, and unaliving, making it weaker than the Senate version they already passed. Proof it has nothing to do with actually protecting the children. It's just another way to remove the tiny bit of privacy that we have left. And that's it. There goes anonymity on the internet. So, there's that, right? That's fun. Digital IDs are coming next. Don't you worry. That'll be soon. You won't even have to worry about the identification on the internet because everybody they'll know exactly what you're doing all the time. All this stupid shit. From Wall Street Apes, for those keeping count, federal judges have now blocked 78 actions by Donald Trump since he took office his second time. The latest ruling blocked proof of citizenship requirements for federal voter registration and blocked mail-in ballots, timely return requirements. That's right. We have got some bullshit going on. The Patriot Voice says, rest in peace, America. It's been a good run, but this experiment is over. It said that the world's greatest empires usually expire after the 250-year mark. So how fitting and tragically sad that on the eve of America's 250th birthday, SCOTUS finishes the job. Today, the Supreme Court of the United States took a dagger straight to the heart of what is left of this already dying republic. This is exacerbated by the fact that Trump totally failed on mass deportation. Heritage Americans don't even have an identity or security in their own country and will never again. Any illegal from a third world can come to this country, and as long as they made it here or have already entered illegally under Biden, have as many kids as they want, and as long as those kids were born in an American hospital, they are considered American citizens. Yeah. The ruling has been upheld. The U.S. Supreme Court votes to uphold birthright citizenship in a 5-4 ruling. So if you pop them out over here, they are a citizen. China's happy. China's happy. And I think the president actually, he congratulated President Ping. All right, let's see. From Mr. Obvious. Some of this might be repeat stuff. The House just passed Internet ID. Did that one. The House voted 198 to 224 against attaching the Save America Act to National Defense Authorization Act. So requiring proof of citizenship to vote was knocked down. They're not going to attach that to the NDAA. But what they will attach to it is that we fuse our militaries with Israel. That they will attach. And President Trump, I believe, he would like to congratulate President Xi and the great country of China on their massive birthright citizenship when President Donald J. Trump. Let's see what he's got to say. Where is it? Hold on. Bear with me.
Does that birth
There it is.
accept? I think it's very bad for our nation. We're the only nation that does it. No other nation does that birthright citizenship. No, not even close. Some did it, they ended it. It's tremendously destructive. It's extremely costly. I don't know, it's up to them. But in terms of for the good of the country, it'd be great if they didn't allow it. It would be great.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I can't tell you. The Slaughter case was the big case today. That was really a big case because it gave strength to presidents and strength to the presidency. A very important case. It's been going on for almost 100 years. Think of that. And this was the ruling that really topped everything by a lot today. Yeah.
All right. Next up from Nick Sorter, more bad news. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled states can accept mail-in ballots after Election Day, 5-4. Yet another reason the Save America Act must be passed. Right, but do you think that's going to happen? I don't think so. This means states like California can continue to take weeks to count ballots after Election Day. This is crazy. That is just crazy. Let's see what Fox News says.
All right, guys, this is not a win for Republicans who were challenging this. Mississippi has a state law which allows ballots to be counted, mail-in ballots after Election Day. If they come in, they're postmarked and meet the state requirements. But it is a 5-4 loss for Republicans, and an interesting cobbling together of who wrote on this. Justice Barrett wrote the opinion. Justice Roberts joined her along with Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson. So those 5 stuck together on this. The dissent comes from Justice Alito. Thomas Gorsuch and Kavanaugh join him. And essentially what the majority said is that these federal statutes setting Election Day don't prescribe, or they don't stand in conflict with states that want to say, okay, we have a procedure to count ballots after Election Day. Justice Alito, writing for the dissent, says today's decision is inconsistent with the terms of the Election Day statutes, contemporary election law principles, 2 centuries of historical practice, and the case law on the question presented. So if you're a state out there that counts ballots after Election Day based on your state law, that state law will stand. We wait on more opinions now, guys. More to come.
So, Shannon, that...
Oh, man, we are done, folks. We are done. Take a listen to this. We've got some scary stuff from Tom Renz. Controlling a drone with your mind. DARPA nanotech. Listen to this stuff.
Let me explain what this means in plain English.
Full screen.
DARPA is working and on nanotech that they can put inside of you in a non-invasive way, so you aren't even going to know it's there. And it's going to be able to read and write very specific things to your brain. So, for example, to do what DARPA is saying, to be able to control a drone using nanotech, well, you're going to have technology in there that can feed exactly what that drone is seeing or doing or what's going on with it into your brain. You can't control the drone if you don't know what's happening. And let's take this out to its kind of outer limits. What they're talking about is a soldier seeing a group of bad guys shooting at him being able to control the brain essentially with his mind, or control the drone essentially with his mind, and have it drop a bomb on him or shoot a missile or something like that, right? To do that, you have to the computer has to be able to read to and write from your brain. It can put thoughts, it can put visions, so if it can put true data into your head, it can also put fake data into your head. It means that it can essentially put anything it wants in your head. If the tech is there to allow a two-way interface, that means it can put anything it wants into your head.
That's scary. That is very scary stuff. Coming from
Let me explain what this means in plain English.
He exposed a lot
DARPA
during COVID
is
and
working.
everything like that. I believe what he's talking about. So technology is really getting scary. All right, back to war with Iran. Let's see what's going on with Iran. U.S. CENTCOM reports it has carried out airstrikes against Iranian targets in the Strait of Hormuz. But what about the Memorandum of Understanding? What about the MOU? Huh? Let's see what they said over on Redacted. Hold on.
And I'm just curious about the Middle East partnership of all of this, and on the United States side, but more specifically on the attacks that would come from Iran. The idea that Iran would, frankly, devastate the UAE, really wipe Dubai off the map for all intents and purposes, hitting, again, energy infrastructure, desalinization. Like, the list is pretty extensive, what they would hit, rendering that country basically useless. Does President Trump seem to care about that?
Well, as I said before, I think that's a tertiary concern as far as he's concerned. And I think in private, the leadership of the UAE is probably cheering him on, despite what you just described as a likely outcome. Let me explain that. I think people need to understand that the UAE is very much a Trojan horse for Israeli and American power and influence. And it has been a thorn in the side of Iran for a very long time. If you're an Iranian, you very much welcome the opportunity to annihilate this platform for the projection of power against you. So the UAE will definitely be struck, and most of it will be flattened or destroyed. Now, I don't know where all the money goes. It's probably sitting in New York City, London, other places. But you're right. The majority of the population, I think we had at the beginning of the war, an estimated 67 million people living from Iraq's border on the west coast of the Persian Gulf all the way down to Oman. I don't think there is half of that left at this point. And I think more will leave. They'll bundle up in their automobiles or SUVs. They'll drive across the desert to Riyadh. And from Riyadh, you can get an aircraft flight to various places. So I think that's inevitable. And I think President Trump has really played the media for suckers. How many times has he manipulated the stock market and investors? And most investors really believe that one of two things is going to happen. Either Trump tacos, as they like to say, chickens out, leaves, or Trump doubles down and crushes Iran. And when you talk to people, they say, oh, well, the Marines and the Navy, they'll seize the strait, they'll march in, they'll take all this over, this won't last much longer. They have no idea what the topography is like. They don't understand what they're dealing with. They don't understand the climate, the conditions. They absolutely have no idea what kind of capabilities we're up against, particularly in air and missile defense. So at this stage, I'd say yes, we're going to see the war restart. It'll probably last as long as the last phase did. And I see no evidence that the Iranians are going to do anything remotely along the lines of what President Trump expects or would like.
What happens to Israel in this?
Well, if you're an Israeli right now, your view is, for the moment, you have control of the United States Armed Forces and its government. You know, this is a unique point in the history of the Israeli state. They have, for many decades, tried very hard to gain control in terms of voting power on the Hill, enough people to guarantee the flow of aid and support to Israel. Well, you know, that was relatively unchallenging. But what they know now is that this war has had a distinctly negative impact on public opinion in the United States regarding Israel. Now, public opinion hasn't mattered a great deal. You know, we've gone to war before, whether or not the American people were consulted or wanted it. And this is a perfect example of doing that yet again.
We have got ourselves in some sort of a pickle here, right? Yeah, we're in a trap. We are in a trap laid by Israel, and there is no way to get out. From the Hormuz letter, Iran is now launching multiple drones and ballistic missiles at U.S. military assets in Kuwait, shortly after Bahrain, in response to U.S. strikes on southern Lebanon. So we're just going to go back and forth. And Trump is happy. He's happy. He's threatening Iran's existence, but he's happy. He's saying it is very possible that they will never learn. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. Now, this is over the weekend, so I don't think the market responded the way that it should have. And oil is still fairly low on the cheap end, but spike is coming again. So get your gas while you can. Do what you can, you know what I mean? Try to save that money. All right. Next up from Mario Nofal. If Israel touches Khamenei's son at the funeral, nothing holds Iran back. Let's see what is, I guess they're talking about Israel possibly going after the supreme leader during his father's funeral, going for an assassination attempt. Let's see what former CIA analyst Larry Johnson said.
All right, so let's actually jump through the news from today. We'll talk about that in a bit. I want to start with something different. I want to start with the funeral. A lot of people have been speculating, I wouldn't say speculating, but been worried that there could be, if Mujtaba Khamenei shows up at the funeral of his father, Ali Khamenei, on the weekend, I've had some of my guests tell me they wouldn't be surprised if Israel tries to assassinate him. So let's start there. The funeral's this weekend. Previous funerals have had, in 1989, the previous supreme leader, 10 million people were on the streets in that funeral. I actually show photos. Okay, if you can show those photos there. That's in 1989 when the previous supreme leader, Khomeini, died. So people are expecting millions on the streets. We'll see. But first, do you expect Mujtaba Khamenei to show up?
I would expect him to, yes. And this would probably be his first public appearance. If Israel dared, even tried to assassinate him, that would unleash, there would be no holding Iran back at that point. Iran would then destroy Israel. I mean, I think it's that simple. Iran's got the missile technology to do so, and Israel would be bled dry. So, well, yeah, I don't think Israel would do it.
So his father was obviously assassinated by Israel. Was it? It was an Israeli strike that killed him, or an American one? I think it was Israeli, wasn't it?
I think it's Israeli. Yeah.
Yeah. You're saying if it happens again now, the response will be different to what we saw a few months ago?
Yes. You know, it'd be unrelenting. The gloves would be completely off. They would. This would have been sort of the final, because there are those within Iran, you know, they call them the hardliners, that insist we're not going to be safe until we destroy Israel. And others say, no, we can find an accommodation. Well, this would kill the accommodation argument completely. And
let's hope they don't go after him, right? We don't need any more fuel to the fire. From what I understand, they are opening like a hotline to the White House in between the regime and the White House, so you know they can talk things down, whatnot, kind of like what they did during the Cold War with Russia. So maybe we're getting into like a, I don't know, like a warm war. You know, not so much as hot, but I don't know. We're moving troops around, they're moving planes around. It looks like they're getting ready for a full-scale invasion, but hey, they want to keep talks open. From the patriotic blonde, Trump has set up a baptism tent at the Great American Fair to celebrate America's 250th birthday. That's awesome. Baptism. Wait a minute. but he hung an Israeli flag right next to the American flag. How fucking disrespectful. That's just, yeah. Israel has nothing to do with the founding of America. Nope. They're just one of our allies. One of our allies that's unleashing hell over in Lebanon. But they've changed their, military doctrine. So let's take a listen over here on Instagram.
Prime Minister of Israel openly admits that he has changed the security doctrine for Israel. Look.
We changed Israel's security doctrine. We initiate, we attack, we surprise, and we attack those enemies that seek our destruction, that seek to kill us. We attack them before they have a chance to do so. If you know,
like the little girls in the school.
Hebrew, Akam lo Hashkem lo, kill them first.
Yeah, you got them. You killed them very good. You got them good. And it's continuing. They're not holding up their end of the MOU. They're still going after Lebanon. And it's getting crazy because the Lebanese are going nuts. The Lebanese government has made a deal with the United States government and Israel, and it's just getting crazy. Chaos in Beirut right now from Mario Norfall. Crowds have completely taken over the streets, burning tires and blocking roads in fury over the Lebanese authorities signing an agreement with Israel that they could pretty much have South Lebanon. From Dropsite News, Hezbollah rejected the framework agreement signed in Washington on Friday, with MP Hassan Fadallah warning that the Lebanese government cannot enforce it except by engaging in a civil war. And that's what they're going to be doing. It's going to be a civil war. It's going to be Hezbollah versus, the Lebanese who are trying to help Israel out. Speaking to Al Madin, Fadallah said to the group would block any government move to implement the deal and would cling to its weapons even more, vowing not to allow authorities to cower out their commitments on the ground. Without the resistance, nothing will pass, he said, dismissing the agreement which excluded Hezbollah as an attempt to derail the separate U.S.-Iran talks, the Islamabad process. Fadallah said the current Lebanese government lacked constitutional legitimacy and had no tools to enforce the deal, and charged that Netanyahu was merely negotiating with himself. He warned the Israeli leader not to rush to celebrate or deliver premature news to the Israeli public. But they are rioting in the streets. And, we're doing it. This is us doing it. Check out Marco Rubio. This is our Secretary of, Defense? No, Secretary of State. Secretary of War's Pete Hegseth. Max Blumenthal says, sold-out Lebanese authorities have given the green light to Israel to extend its invasion of the country's south, validating its ethnic cleansing of Shia citizens. Here's Marco Rubio stabbing J.D. Vance and the MOU in the back.
Thank you. Today is a good day.
Really can't hear that.
We're happy to announce a framework
agreement. All right, my apologies. You can't hear that, but he says it's the beginning. It's the beginning. There's a lot of work ahead. I got no way to make that louder, guys, so I apologize. From Mario Norfall, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun on the new agreement says, I like to thank President Trump and the United States. I reaffirm my commitment to continue this path until every inch of Lebanese territory is liberated. There will be no more occupation, no more prisoners, no more subordination, and no more guardianship. Lebanon is done being a battlefield for Iran and Hezbollah. Really? So you're just letting Israel straight in and just giving it to them. That's why there's not going to be a fight. You're giving it to them. This is some of the images that are coming out. This is a munition set off in Lebanon, and apparently they were going after some tunnels that Hezbollah is in, right? Tunnels? But I don't know. David Icke says the hardest point to get across in the past 36 years has been the depth of evil we are dealing with. Words have no meaning. So I figure the pictures will they'll speak to you. tunnels or 20-kilometer tunnels, something like that. This is what they're going after. That's like a whole town gone. Wonder how many civilians. Right? Not good. Not good, but, you know, these are our buds. These are our buds. And we've got more. We've got more. This is another video from Alex Jones. It's like Hiroshima all over again. Some people are saying that this is like a tactical nuke. A lot are saying, no, there's no way we'd see radiation from space and whatnot. So, I don't know. I haven't heard that it was a tactical nuke. Who knows? Here's some more info on it from Mario Nafal. The explosion from Israel destroying a tunnel network in southern Lebanon was so massive it practically destroyed an entire town and was heard as far away as Israel. The 200-meter-long network was buried 25 meters underneath the town of Majdal Zun. It was so devastating, the blast even triggered earthquake detection system. That's a blast, man. Pretty crazy. But you got Netanyahu saying stuff like this. This was sent from one of our listeners, Temporal. There is one challenge in particular that he wants to, conquer. The Manhattan Project. Check this out from the Clash Report.
ראיתי זה לא יאומן. זה פשוט שונה. ויש לנו עוד עבודה לעשות, בעיקר למה שאני קורא פרויקט מנהטן. אנחנו נהיה הראשונים בעולם שפותרים את בעיית רחפני הנפץ. זה בעיה עולמית, אבל אנחנו פותרים את זה. אבל לא פתרתם 100%. נכון. אבל אנחנו בדרך. ואם היינו עושים את ההצעה שלכם לעצור ראיתי זה לא יאומן.
I was in southern Lebanon. I saw it. It's unbelievable. It's just different. And we have more work to do. Mainly on what I call the Manhattan Project. We will be first in the world to solve the problem of explosive drones. It's a global problem, but we're solving it. But did you solve it 100% correctly? But we are on our way. And if we had done your suggestion to stop in Rafah, yeah, they would never be here. I think, personally, I think he's threatening nuclear drones. But that's just me. Who knows, right? But he's talking some Manhattan Project shit, so I would be careful. All right, we've got bad news on the front of unintertwining our military from Israel's. Congress blocked the amendment that Representative Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna put through. Let's hear him, what Ro Khanna's got to say about it.
Congress has blocked Thomas Massie and my amendment to prevent the integration of our military with Israel. This is unconscionable. They're not even giving us a vote on the amendment. Thomas and I will continue to fight to make sure we don't compromise American sovereignty.
And you're going to get nowhere because we are done. Hate to be black pill, but we're done. Here's one from Billy Dares over on Instagram. Israeli Mossad spy caught stealing U.S. tech secrets, then released. Guy Galanti, an Israeli Mossad agent who infiltrated U.S. companies, got arrested stealing American semiconductor trade secrets, was then released immediately in Arizona on Israel's extradition demand. He's already heading back to Tel Aviv. We're done. We're done. And from Kathy Talento, as a health policy loudmouth and former Trump White House advisor, I was invited to the attempted resurrection of Operation Warp Speed 2.0 last week. This is what's going on. Instead of doing a deal with the devil, I sent my regrets and decided to publish their pitch word for word. The full unedited draft can be found at the link below. But before you go there, here's a summary of what it says. Research will be fast-tracked to minimize time to FDA approval. Drug companies get a seat on the committee that regulates them. That's nice. Medicare must cover these drugs in 30 days regardless of incomplete safety profile. FDA must justify economic losses for drugs they don't approve, so much for safe and effective. And maybe most shocking of all, Secretary Kennedy, who literally wrote a book trashing the first warp speed, would be forced to run the thing. That's why he's going to be leaving. Guaranteed he leaves in July. There's no way. But hey, who knows, right? Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But there's our health advisor. Yep, we've been betrayed another time. From Wall Street Apes, I think there's a clip here. This is on Flock again. And I know we've heard this information once. This is another clip on the Flock cameras, and you guys need to pay attention.
If you thought Flock was bad, something even more terrifying is being installed all over America. It's made by a defense contractor called Leonardo, and here's what it does. So the biggest problem with these LPRs, license plate readers like Flock, is that it needs to use a license plate to identify you, at least right now, and they can't tell who else is in your car. So what's their genius fucking solution to this? Well, they've made a device that can be installed next to any existing license plate reader, that once it's installed, that next time they pull your license plate, it will pull all the unique Bluetooth identifiers from all the smart devices in your car. And oh yeah, it gets worse. So once they have those devices, they link them to you via your license plate, and now they never need to scan your license plate again, and these can be installed anywhere, and they can see who's traveling with you, and all that fun fucking stuff.
Yeah, your friends too. If they're looking for your friends, they'll be able to get your friends in your car. If they're looking for you in your friend's car, same thing.
As you can see, this is real. This is being covered by major media outlets. If we take a look at how it's described as an advanced signal intelligence system that upgrades standard license plate readers to track people by their smart devices they carry rather than just by their vehicle. So let's take a look at some more information here. It captures your device's Bluetooth, like your smartphones, smartwatches, and your car Bluetooth systems. It then captures that data and it stores that data so you no longer need to be tracked by your license plate. These signals, every time that you drive by one of these sensors, it's going to automatically know who you are. And then check this out too. It's going to automatically know who you're driving with. So all the passengers in your vehicle, they will also be tracked. So this is a mass surveillance network that's being established right now in America. And if we look at where this signal trace is already being used, it's being deployed in limited areas, but it is being deployed. And the real crazy thing about this is that it can just be simply added onto all the existing cameras that they have, including Flock. So everywhere there's a Flock camera, they can just throw one of these sensors on, and then they have a network that can mass surveillance everyone who travels and everyone who's in your vehicle.
Have I mentioned we're fucked? Have I mentioned? But no, just be aware. You know, be aware. Be aware of where your Flock cameras are. Be aware of where these sensors are, the microphones. From Dr. Jane Ruby. These are the tools of a government that is out of control, bloated, and hopelessly corrupted. I agree. The Flock surveillance triple threat. You got the Flock Raven microphone, a fixed acoustic sensor that constantly monitors an area for gunshots, screams, and other flagged sounds, triangulating their origin and alerting police instantly. You've got Flock cameras, license plate readers, a roadside surveillance camera that continuously captures plates, vehicle fingerprints, and movement patterns, turning every passing car into a searchable data point for police. And the Flock Alpha drone, an autonomous police drone that launches from its dock to rapidly track, zoom in on, and follow targets from above, streaming real-time aerial intelligence. By merging vehicle tracking, aerial pursuit, and always-on acoustic monitoring, Flock creates a single system capable of mapping your movements, behaviors, and surroundings in real time. And now with Bluetooth signal capability as well, right? Now they're going to be capturing your Bluetooth signals and your AirPods and making a digital fingerprint. So have fun. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to Canada? Wouldn't go to Canada. Because Canada's doing some crazy shit. Canada is teaching their kids how to sniff drugs. Yep. Check this out.
So in Canada, they are now teaching our kids how to snort cocaine safely. You guys gotta watch this.
Students at North Barrie Collegiate Institute received condoms and these pamphlets from Canadian Mental Health Association representatives this week.
Already there's so much problems at our school with drug use, and that's not making it any better. That's literally just making it okay for them. People are thinking that's okay, and that's not at all.
The pamphlets titled
It's condoning it. You're right, young lady. It's condoning it.
Safer Snorting have a picture of a snort straw and a line of cocaine on the cover and pages of safety tips for snorting drugs.
It's like kind of promoting addiction to kids, especially since they were handing out like the sticks to snort stuff with as well.
We're just like thinking that they're starting to like try and interpret things too like early for kids, like when things shouldn't even be being said.
Parents responded and, as usual, voiced their anger all over social media, accusing the CMHA of taking away rights of parents to.
And if you weren't able to read what was in that flyer, this is what it says: make it your own. Adding a personal touch to your snorting equipment will help you better recognize your own when using it with others. So they're referring to the plastic straw they want to let your children know they could use to snort cocaine. And by the way, plastic straws are illegal in Canada.
I grew up in the 80s and never once did my school teach us how to snort cocaine. That was never a thing. And now in Canada, I mean, years ago, they already implemented vending machines for free that has instructions. You can get your crack pipe, your heroin, doesn't matter. And then you can get a safe supply of drugs for free. I have been pissed since 2020, and the more I see this attack on our children, the more angry I get. So in
Crazy, right? So we're not going to Canada. Where's everybody going? Belize is looking nice. Belize is looking nice because we're done here. California legislature passed bill reducing penalties for oral and anal sex with willing minors. Yeah, that's some sick stuff. But this is what they're doing over in California. David Harris Jr. says pure evil. This is just like our world is, we are living in some serious times right now. Serious dark times. But there's hope, right? There's hope. Has anybody ever seen the Tweaker Safari? Check it out.
Today on Tweaker Safari, we encounter one of nature's most extraordinary creatures, the Metlantian horde beast. At first glance, the habitat appears ordinary, just another house tucked away in a quiet suburban neighborhood. But look closer. What scientists once mistook for a junk pile is actually a highly sophisticated ecosystem composed of bicycles, appliances, extension cords, scrap metal, and several objects that have completely escaped classification. The Metlantian horde beast operates under a simple philosophy. If an item exists, it may someday be useful. And if it may someday be useful, it must never leave. Over many...
That technically would have made my grandfather, an old Sicilian man, a Metlantian horde beast, because everything had a use. Never throw anything out. He had a vacuum cleaner holding up a tomato plant once. Yep.
Seasons, the beast has transformed its territory into a sprawling monument to unlimited optimism and absolutely no storage plan whatsoever. Notice the neighboring homes: fresh paint, trimmed lawns, order, reason, then this. A kingdom of rust rising from suburbia like the last surviving outpost of a civilization that lost a war against yard sales. As we ascend into the sky, the true scale of Methlantis becomes visible. From above, it resembles a landfill attempting to disguise itself as a residence. Scientists estimate that somewhere within the colony lies the exact item the beast has been searching for. Unfortunately, it is buried beneath 14 bicycles, 3 refrigerators, a washing machine, and what appears to be part of a boat. The search continues. The kingdom grows. And the property values tremble.
All right, I hope you guys liked that. Figured I would break it up a little bit, but let's get back into it. From Beautiful Holistic over on Instagram, why would Norway ship over 2,200 pounds of food like salmon, cheese, and thousands of oranges to their World Cup players in the USA? Maybe, I don't know, because they don't trust our food? Let's check it out.
Athletes are refusing to eat American food. Norway have shipped 1,000 kilograms of rations to the World Cup because they don't trust U.S. groceries. That includes fish, brown cheese, and 6,000 oranges.
Norway didn't just reject U.S. oranges. They avoided petroleum-dyed fruit that never rots. Practically every U.S. orange starts as a green clone, smothered in citrus red number 2, a petroleum dye marked as a human carcinogen, dipped straight into ammonia baths, fusing coal tar chemistry into every peel. What remains is sprayed with morpholine, a wax binder banned in 31 nations, then gassed with ethylene until every cell is petrochemical.
I eat a lot of fruit. That's crazy. That is not fun. Yeah. Ava Abrams says, because the whole world knows what a shit show our food supply is. For starters, here are some of the pesticides banned in Europe and that your kids are eating with your morning toast, cereal, fruits, meats, etc. Chloropyrifos, now largely banned in the EU, neurotoxic pesticide linked to brain development issues in children, banned in the EU. US regulations have changed repeatedly and it remains controversial. Imazazil, a fungicide used on citrus rinds to prevent mold in storage, EU strict limits due to concerns over it being on an endocrine disruptor and likely a human carcinogen. It's widely used in the US. Why ship salmon? Well, for salmon, it's less about direct spraying and more about the feed. Methoxyquin is used historically as a preservative in fish feed to prevent fat spoilage. It is not approved for food and feed use due to safety concerns in the EU, but it's still being phased out in the US. Also because of persistent environmental pollutants, PCBs, dioxins, and other industrial contaminants. These accumulate in farmed fish feed ingredients. Why ship cheese? Cheese itself doesn't involve pesticide application, but the exposure pathway does. Cows eat feed crops treated with pesticides such as glyphosate and 2,4-D herbicide, both restricted in the EU and widely used in the US. Fortunately, humic and fulvic substances are very good at detoxifying glyphosate and many other toxins. So if you're interested, contact Beautiful Holistic over on Instagram and get yourself some fulvic vitamins. All right? You're welcome, Ava Abrams of Beautiful Holistic. Got yourself a free ad read. All right, next up from Harrison Smith and Fox News, we got Rand Paul, and possibly he's going to be going after Fauci. Maybe. Let's see what he has to say.
This was a conspiracy. This was a cover-up, and he has not really gotten his just desserts on this. And we want to make sure that the American public and that history records that he was involved with funding this dangerous research that led to a pandemic that killed 15 million people. There need to be repercussions. Real time.
There does need to be repercussions, but are we going to see anything? I doubt it. Very doubtful. All right, we have got a world-renowned oncologist talking about the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA shots. Let's see what he's got to say. Dr. Angus Dalglish.
That people who'd been stable with cancer, melanoma for years, started relapsing at the beginning of 22, and I asked for any reason why this might have occurred, and I noted they'd all been given boosters by their GPs, which if they'd asked me, I wouldn't have done that. And so we had to look around. What's the reason? Why would a booster allow a cancer to come back? Well, it turned out it's very simple, that boosters suppress the T cell cell response. The first two will increase it a bit, but a booster suppresses it. And that's exactly what we found. But then a group from Madrid published a wonderful paper saying T-cell exhaustion after third COVID vaccine in cancer patients with an incredible data. It showed it very, very clearly. And so therefore, any cancer suppressed and controlled by the immune system, you suspect might pop up after the booster. Surgeons noted their colorectal patients were very difficult to treat. They were presenting late and they were presenting young, and they found that these patients had all had the booster too, and they called a red flag. And I called a red flag that just the suspicion that the vaccine might be involved in the cancer.
Are there any studies that have linked the mRNA to cancer? Is there any sort of medical process that you can allude to that would back that up?
The strongest are the epidemiological studies, and the strongest was from Japan, a paper by Gibbo and his colleagues, which just had the raw data, and they noticed that the number of new cancer cases went up with each booster vaccine.
Pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. That's a professor of oncology. And, yep. Let's go after Fauci, people. Let's go after Fauci. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is, she's trying to make it look like she's doing us all a favor by exposing these MK Ultra secrets and everything, but there is no files. There's nothing to be seen. Everything we already know. We know Charles Manson and Jack Ruby were MK Ultra assets, but they're trying to make it look like they're putting on this big disclosure for everybody to see. There is no proof. All right, check it out.
Is it in your expert opinion that Jack Ruby and Manson were assets of the intelligence agencies specifically pertaining to MK Ultra? Were they
the MK Ultra files, right? What are we calling this? Is this congressional disclosure? Ridiculous.
MK Ultra victim.
Yeah, theoretically, Manson, I've never been able to prove absolutely. Jack Ruby, I believe, this is something else. The Warren Commission investigation, on the Warren Commission was Alan Dulles, the former CIA director, who authorized and ran MK Ultra until he was fired by President Kennedy. The liaison to the committee for the CIA, who handled the information coming from the CIA back and forth to the Warren Commission, was Richard Helms, who was a direct supervisor of Jolly West. They knew who West was. They knew that what West was capable of and what they had paid him to do and what he had reported to them that he could do, including inducing mental disorders in people. That was never disclosed to the commission as far as anyone knows. So I believe that West was put in there to keep Jack Ruby from telling his story.
Wow. In closing, I just want to thank you all for being here today, and we will be following up, Dr. Kinzer, on your request to fully redact. I'll be following up personally with the director of the CIA, the MK Ultra files that we do have. Also, as I noted earlier, there will be more that will be declassified, specifically pertaining to newly found records that were located in what we were discussing earlier. I did also want to just state that, for the record, in regards to what statements were made earlier regarding the German government, we will also be following up on that. If there are indeed people that were victims of this that have been buried, we would like to know who those people are and who their families are as well, in order to correct the historical wrongdoings of this government. Without further ado, I would like to state that all members have 5 legislative days within to submit materials and additional written questions for the witnesses. They will be then forwarded to them. If there are no further business without objection, the task force stands adjourned.
The task force. Yeah, so they were disclosing all of this CIA information, and they're gonna give us all the dirt, right? It has all been burned a long time ago. There is no new information, but she's disclosing aliens and non-human entities, and now the MK Ultra files and the JFK files. Did we get anywhere? No. Who does she work for? Check it out. Check out the tracker, okay? And on that note, people, it's about that time. It is time for me to get the hell out of here. I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'll see you back here next week. Same time, same channel. Everybody keep liking and subscribing and sharing the show. I could really use the help. You can see. No, I was just kidding about the 1 million viewers, right? Yeah, you knew I was joking, right? All right, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. Love y'all. Peace.